Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
Honorable Minister, first time meeting you. A pleasure. It's always a pleasure to be in Comrade Kwesi Pratt's company. If there's one topic in Ghana that vexes me, there is the issue concerning what's called energy issues. There's one issue that vexes me that reaffirms my belief that the biggest problem we are facing in the energy sector and in all other sectors is lack of commitment and leadership. And indeed, after listening to Honorable Doctor,
just
once an honorable, always an honorable.
Again, that is another misconception. In Britain, a member of parliament, you are Kwabena Donko. Honorable member for Poo is a constituency. The honorable is attached to the people you represent.
I agree.
But once you leave office, you are just Kwabena Donko. There's a new honorable member representing the constituency.
I agree. It's in Ghana.
So it's just that side.
Once an honorable, always an honorable. And after listening to Dr. Kwabena Donko, that belief is even further entrenched. Now, another thing that has vexed me beyond the clear failure of government to communicate why the need for that one city is the position taken by the opposition. Because if there's one group that should not have the moral right, the moral cojones to speak about this, then it's the opposition, and I think they should be made to understand that. Now, why am I saying that? I think you see, to understand, and in fact I must thank my brother when he came here. I told him, listen, Don, you need to explain things to me because I'm just a lawyer. I'm not a finance person. And then so Don's expose and Honorable's expose excellent, and it has even made me angrier with the opposition for having the moral cojones to put a spin and try and make this thing very partisan and try and score some cheap points. Points that, in my opinion, they do not. In fact, if there's any group that Ghanaians should be angry with at this moment, then is the SWA NPP government. Now, why am I saying that? You know, sometime in 2015, I think 2015, the energy sector, and I stand to be corrected here, the Energy Sector Levies Act was passed sometime in 2015, and you know, it brought in a host of levies. I think the energy debt recovery levy, I think 0.49 pesos, a price stabilization levy, and a host of levies. Now, so we started collecting those levies in 2016. Between 2016 to like 2023, we were able to raise about 33 point something billion Ghana cedis, as in from these levies. Now, in 2017, they collateralized these levies, and then on the basis of that, floated bonds. I think they managed to collect about 8 billion Ghana cedis. Now, let's recall, and we need to recall, that when Dr. His Excellency was about, he made that famous statement that you can do all the propaganda you want. If the exchange rate, if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. At that time, the $1 was to about 3 point something cedis. Now, in 2017, the debts in our, or when we started this program, I think the debts in our power sector was about 2 billion. I stand to be corrected once again, it was about 2 billion. Now, 2 billion in cedi terms at that time was roughly about 7 point something billion. In 2017, the dollar was about, the cedi was about 4 point something. They raised about 3 point, in fact, by 2020, when the dollar was holding around 5 point something, the amount of money the ESLA would have given us would be somewhere in the region of about 15 million, it's about 3 billion. You understand? You see, sometimes we need to get the figures. I think it's a figures game. So there's one ambiguity, no confusion. So by 2020, they had managed to raise somewhere in the region approximately about 15 billion in dollar terms, about $3 billion to tackle a $2 billion problem. We also need to recall that, that when they floated the bonds, they managed to raise about $8 billion from the ESLA bonds. So that was about $2 billion. And so in effect, really, if the focus was to deal with the legacy debts, they've had the resources to do same. Now, in 2018, they initiated what we call the Energy Sector Recovery Program. What was the Energy Sector Recovery Program supposed to do, and what was their target? It was supposed to do with the problems Dr. Donko is talking about, the technical problems, the commercial problems, the so-called issues. I think after that Energy Sector Recovery Program, they did that mechanism, that what's called payment mechanism, what's it called, waterfall payment mechanism, cash waterfall mechanism. And so that bowl into which all money is raised will be collected, and then they'll be paid per their own formula. You understand? They claim that they were also going to. There was a period when we came here. One of the key issues we kept on hammering on was the pay or collect. And NDC have gone and was negotiated some crazy and so they said they were going to renegotiate. It was all part of the objectives of the Energy Sector Recovery Program. And then they said that by 2023, after when they roll out the actions flowing from the Energy Sector Recovery Program, by 2023, the focus and purpose of that program, which was to ensure that we will have the energy sector will be sustainable, will be financially viable, it will be attained by 2023. What that meant was that by 2023, we shouldn't be in debt. It was essentially the energy sector should be debt free, and when it comes to the cost of producing the energy, it should be less than the revenue generated from the production and sale of energy. That was the purpose of the program, and those programs were led and pushed, and all the monies I'm talking about were collected by Nana Akufo-Addo, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, and his government. They benefited from this 33 billion. After 2020, in dollar terms, it was more than 3 billion to tackle debts of about 2 billion. They raised ESLA bonds, 8 billion ESLA bonds. They were supposed to tackle what's called the same 2 billion issue. You understand? And Don mentioned what's called the exchange rate as an issue. And because of their bad management of the economy, the exchange rate jumped to about 17 cedis, ballooning the debts. So on what basis? Even before I go on to two of the basis, so all this their negligence, lack of commitment, lack of leadership, this wicked leadership Nana and his people gave us, put Ghana in the position where after 10 years we found ourselves in a worse situation than we were before the famous Dumso. We found ourselves in a worse situation before the famous. So one day, when they collected the monies, what did they use the money for? They claimed they used the money for some lightning issues. Accra and Ghana is so dark. It's like we are in the dark ages. So those lightning, they claim they use it for. They said they claim they use it for infrastructure, road infrastructure. So you take money that you are going to use it for this purpose, for sorting out what's called legacy debt issues. One, we still find ourselves in debt. So you collect the money, we still find ourselves in debt. You can use the money for some lighting, we don't see any light. If you see light, maybe they claim they use it for some infrastructure. Our roads are so terrible that we have a massive infrastructure deficit in this country. So where did the monies go? You understand? And two, in spite of the beautiful what's called program you yourself in your energy sector recovery program identified and said you are going to roll them out, and that if you roll them out by 2023 will be financially, that sector will be financially viable, so no debt. So if we find ourselves in that debt, wouldn't it have been proper if the MPs go to Parliament in sackcloth and put ashes on their hair and cry and wail and beg God and Ghana for forgiveness? instead of having the balls there, that I don't know where that moral courage is coming from. To do what? After you've placed us in this position. To do what? You see, it's time for politicians to be serious. You see, it's time for, and that's why I keep on calling for that right political culture. Because if you have the right political culture, where the people of Ghana understand there is a duty to hold political leaders accountable, then they won't have that courage. They'll be scared to be opening their mouth when they essentially, in this energy crisis that we find ourselves in, you can't point your hands at anybody than Anado and his people. Lack of leadership, lack of commitment, and a fundamental dishonesty. See, I've said so many times, I don't even want to say it again, that for 8 years we gave powers to people who did not understand that sovereign power emanated from the people, and that the sole purpose for which you are going to use those powers should be to the interest of those people. That they use those powers for their parochial agenda as against the purpose of those powers. And so they didn't care about us. Play politics with it, give our jargons, doom CSA, and all those nonsense. And now we find ourselves in a worse situation than we were in 2025. Sorry, in 2015. Yeah, you understand? So they should pack themselves. But you see, having said that, and Mama said something when he said that I don't know why, if there's something that we don't know, that he said that did he say promise that they were going to use the monies for the purpose for which they were collecting them? Because that has been a problem. When they collected this S-Latin, if they had focused on the power and energy sector, you understand, use it judiciously, faithfully to solve the debt issue and also to solve the underlying problems. Because I agree 100% with both the Don and Doc when they say that collecting these monies without solving the underlying problem, it will be like pouring water into baskets. Because you have a situation where I think every year ECG is unable to collect about $2 million. They claim about 80% of those monies are monies that they ought to be collecting from the SOEs, the state, the state enterprises, the ministries, and so is it that government is deliberately borrowing us abroad? Because the energy we use is prepaid. The energies we use is prepaid. I buy the energy before I use them. So if I'm able to use them, and if you are telling me that you can't collect, and that about 80% of those failures are from you, the government, the state itself, the ministries, the state enterprise, the SOEs, the agencies. And your failure to collect those monies will impact my ability to enjoy what I've bought. Then you are being wicked. So it is essential that the underlying factors, all the underlying factors, and I've had the opportunity of reading the energy sector recovery program. I think the solution at the end, in fact, they can just consult. Don't when they can charge them, don't spare them. Don't say it's your party, so you are going to be this and charge them. Maybe charge them heavy. But the solutions are there. What is needed is that political will, real leadership. Real leadership. Because energy is at the foundation of our transformational agenda. We can't transform without it. It's so critical that that question must be answered rightly and emphatically so. Then everything other than that, everything we are saying will be just jargons. Everything must be so. I don't want to go back about the failure in communication and all. I think the Don and Doc have done excellent work at that. But His Excellency John Mahama needs to understand the situation we are in, and I must say he's done well so far, and rise to the occasion in answering this question, answering it emphatically. Because at the end of the day, you are not a dictator. You hold political position. You are a leader, and because this is a democracy, it's not a monarchy. You need to find a way of getting the buy-in of the people in every decision you take. Otherwise, other than that, he may be right. He may be right, but because he's failed to get the buy-in of the people, the repository of sovereign power. Because in a democracy, sovereignty resides in the people at all times. So that he needs to understand that the solution is not just in, I need to apply this, I'm applying it. But in finding a way of getting the people to buy in to that solution. Because if you are going to be honest with His Excellency John Mahama, I think Ghanaians are getting to understand him better. Myself, I'm getting to understand him better. But you realize something, that a lot of the things that we chastised him in his first regime, we were wrong. But I won't say I was wrong. We were not wrong, because part of his duty is to find a way of getting the people to buy in into his solutions. That includes putting in place a very comprehensive body, whether it's by communication, I don't know, to understand first of all the problem, and to understand why we need to swallow that bitter pill. Because that one seed extra, there is a bitter pill. But it's a bitter pill that needs swallowing. And so he'll be failing if he applies in the manner he did. He does sumptuous manner. So wake up one day buying. He must understand that because it's a democracy, and because sovereign power will always reside with the people, then it is his duty, it is his obligation indeed, that where you are applying a solution, you find a way to get the buy-in of the people. Because on Tuesday, the drivers are saying that they are going to undertake a strike. Now, what that strike is going to do is that the strike and the noise around the strike is going to shape public opinion against this bitter pill that we need to swallow. Even the NPP, see, because the NPP, I'm saying that I was expecting that they'll wear sackcloth and put ashes, but they've managed to be turning public opinion against this bitter pill. You understand? And he's losing the public opinion war. He seems he's losing the public opinion, and I hope he does not lose the public opinion war. Because maybe we are the generation that need to swallow the bitter pill for us to find a lasting solution to this energy crisis. So he needs to understand that the solution is just not in, okay, so Atofos advises, oh, this is the solution, buying. But because this is a democracy and it's not a monarchy, because he's not a dictator, he's the president, then whatever solution it is, and no matter how he's convinced about the efficacy of that solution, he deliberately needs to find a way of getting the buy-in of the people, because there's a reason why our constitution says, and it was just stating a fact, that they use the powers we gave them for our benefit, for our purpose. We are a republic, and so at all times you may be wielding the executive powers, but you need the buy-in of the people. And I'm sure that's why they spend so much money all over the world in spokespersons, in a strong communication, because you need to have a way of dealing with public opinion. Because then you can have a very fantastic idea, but you'll be doing us a disservice if, because of your losing that battle of public opinion, that idea does not succeed, or you're unable to implement it. Then what have we done? You understand? So for me, I know the easy thing to say is a financial problem, but I think it's more of a leadership problem and a commitment problem. Fortunately, we asked for change, we fought for this change. I'm convinced that we needed this change. I'm convinced, and we cannot miss this opportunity only because this leader And I mean, I said Nanado, we see he was not a leader. Right now, I'm convinced we have a leader. But for it, because it's a democracy, then you also need to focus on driving public opinion to the solutions you've identified to solve the problems. The call for this project is very bitter, but we would have to swallow it. So mama must find a way. It's like a child. As in, when you're a parent, I know you were a parent not too long ago. They give you a medicine to give to your child. Your child doesn't want to take it. You find a way of cajoling the child so that what the child will take, because you know that when the child takes that medicine, it will solve. This one CD, if I spoke to a friend who is into finance and in the financial sector and is not an NDC supporter, and we're making this debate and say, listen, I mean, for the one CD there, you can't argue against it. You can't argue against, as in, I know that it can be whether it's actually one CD or two CDs or whatever it is. I'm not a finance person, so I'm good there. But as whether or not we need to find some way of raising financing and raising it urgently to solve the problem. I don't think we can have a debate about it. And so Mama must understand that he must treat it like you are making your baby to drink, to take some medicine. And in politics, the only way is effective, deliberate and effective PR, communication. And this, I don't mind to pay one CD in a time when poverty is staring the faces of your compatriots. People will be insulted by that kind of posturing. And so I'm pleading with His Excellency. I mean, I personally understand him that we need to swallow this pill. But it will be very sad, and Professor will not forgive him. The only reason why he is not the one who leads the solution of this energy crisis is on the altar of a fundamental failure in communication. Yeah, you understand? So, not to talk too much and not to take too much time. We need to change the politics. We need to do a politics that always places Ghana first. You understand? We need to be the generation that will not allow these charlatans and parochial, because honestly speaking, the thing that has vexed me about this whole issue is not about the one city, but it's about the position of the opposition. I'm being very honest here. It's like a cause problem, and then when somebody is finding a solution, I'm the one opposing the solution when I'm the one who caused the problem. You understand? So Ghanaians, we should be eye-opened. We should be eye-open. We should not be too crazy about the NPP and NDC. Because ultimately we are Ghanaians. Forget about the NPP, NDC. We are Ghanaians, and if there's something wrong, that problem won't identify you, the NPP or NDC person, and give a different treatment. We have a problem, and that problem requires that all of us will put our shoulders on the wheel and solve that problem. It requires that we all support the leadership of His Excellency John Mahama for us to solve this problem. Maybe we are the generation that have to swallow this pill to solve this problem, because without a strong energy, without that fundamental, then we can never have transformation. And we're at a stage in the life of this country where we need transformation. So I end here, and I just advise His Excellency John Mahama, find a way. We support you. Find a way. Whatever you do to find a way for us to solve this problem, find that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Andrew Appiah Dankwa is spokesperson for the Movement for Change. Doc has been trying to draw my attention. Doc.
Yes, I guess. But you can
yes.
Understand. Otherwise, the format of the program is disturbed.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this one CD thing, what so far has been absent, and I'm personally very worried, is what have we done to the people who breached the law?
Okay. I think if that's a substantial point, I thought you were responding to something. You just wanted to clarify.
Then the other one is leadership. Leadership is lonely. Okay. We cannot
come back there.
Okay.
So the second topic, I'll start with you, so you can
that's
some of these issues before you go to the substantive matter. Just a couple of comments from those of you who are joining us via WhatsApp. Togwe Boso is joining us. Says politicians are not ready to aggressively solve power crisis in this country. I followed the proceedings in Parliament when the Finance Minister presented the bill. It was quickly misinterpreted in the public domain. Now, this is my view. If the government is serious to solve the problem, one, they must hold people in the energy sector accountable for most of the problem. Is from, he names the Minister board of directors, managers down to contractors. I know what I'm talking about. 2, government must remove some institutions from the grease to solar and also encourage individuals who can afford solar system to move to that. That's Doc also said the same thing. 3, procurement of materials have to be carried out by competent and people that know the materials the materials to be used. 40% of our losses come from materials procurement mismanagement. Those involved must be dealt with immediately without favor. Please, some of us are watching. My regards to Uncle Pratt and Dr. Kobna Donko. Thanks, God be with you all. Thank you very much. In fact, interestingly, there's a story at ECG where they said the ECG decided to merge stores and procurement department, and they put the stores manager in charge and remove the guy in charge of procurement. Very interesting story. That's some of the things that happen at DCD. This one says it is unfair to win the presidential election by winning 2 or 3 regions. Be out of the 16. Okay, I think he's talking about Constitutional Review Committee. This one says we thank Mr. President for making this bold decision to solve the energy problem once and for all. We ask God's protection for John Mahama to help Ghana to clear the NPP ATS mess in the country. That's from Gomwa West. His name is Pastor George. Sends his regards to Mr. Pratt. This one, great submission by the lawyer. Government must wake up and put on their communication. Yusuf Sendant from Accra. There's Kwame Adosiem in Ebuakwa North, who says, and I perfectly agree with Dr. Kobna Donko. The ECG contractors are the prime collaborators who help citizens to steal the power. The Energy Ministry must do serious meter auditing so that all the unauthorized meters could be flushed out of the system. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. And Arnold Ho says, I'm struggling to understand why our security personnel are exempt from paying electricity bills. Many of them run businesses that heavily rely on electricity, and their bungalows are often equipped with high energy consuming appliances. This situation significantly contributes to financial loss for the states. May I suggest that government sets a consumption ceiling for them to control excessive use? I heard this. Somebody said this earlier this week. This one, good morning, Pan-African TV. Is it not better to pay more to be used in the interest of the nation than paying less to be wasted on irrelevant projects like the useless National Cathedral? Even paying 1 cedis more gives us less cost in fuel now than in the past. Let's put politics aside and accept the positive reality confronting us as a nation. My only plea is that accountability should be respected. Hashtag oral must work. Uncle Gabi sent that from Wamfie. Sami in Accra says, are you not surprised that the NDC is not holding any press conference to explain topical issues to the populace since January 7? Cocoa Board, ECG containers and other heinous corruption issues are there. Those whose responsibility it is to organize press conferences are now ministers, CEOs, etc., and are basking in the largesse of their office and no longer give a damn. That's Sami who sent that. He is in Accra. There's Adum Samo from Cape Coast who says, my government didn't do enough consultation prior to the introduction of the new tax. Going forward, I will urge my government to involve all stakeholders in decision making. This is not only essential for national building, but would also give the stakeholders a sense of belonging, being heard, and being needed in the broader governance structure. I believe this is the way to go. Adum Samuel sent that from Cape Coast. Thank you. A few more, then I'll come to Mr. Pratt. Sami from Bubiashi. The question I keep asking myself is it wrong for the government to decrease the price of fuel? Why can't we appreciate good things in our country? 1 cedi levy to combat doom, so we are fighting ourselves. Or suffer from Shukra says the government should just withdraw the 1 Ghana cedi and increase the electricity bill. Some media houses and some NPP guys in the transport business are using it to paint all the good achievements black. Then there's this one. Good morning. I remember one TV presenter, he mentioned him, who introduced a program called Say No to, I think it's going to the plastic bag issue. There's this one that says, Sanko in Santa Maria. There wouldn't have been a 1 cedi levy on fuel had it not been because of the huge debt left behind at the energy sector due to mismanagement and recklessness of the previous government led by NPP. So the micro-minority must shut up. The micro-minority should note that recovery of the loot shall be used for the settlement of the huge debts left behind by the reckless NPP government. So they should be telling their members not to be feigning sickness when the time for accountability reaches their doorsteps. Sanko in Santa Maria sent that. Let me conclude with this one. Solomon Jackie from Konso. which one will hold? E-levy was introduced to fix rules. Are the rules fixed? Dumsor levy to solve Dumsor. Will Dumsor be solved? Yes, yet to answer. Trust His Excellency JM.
Mr. Pierre, let me put energy issue and also add Ken Ofrata to the mix. A very vexed day. You see, for me, I think there's an opportunity for us to have a look at the office of the OSP again. You know, I've been talking about a number of things. I think that I do put the first one on us. Another one is the OSP. Because this is a body that was meant to be independent. Now, the issues that he claims he needs came for investigation. I think the SML issue, the 58 million
cathedral.
There's no cathedral, so we shouldn't talk. The 58 million who, 58 million who the.
That's the foundation for the cathedral.
Have you seen the foundation? All we see is a hole, and they say the hole cost us $58 million. But there's no foundation, and there's no cathedral. All we have is a hole, and that hole cost us $58 million. You understand? The what's it called? The ambulance. The ambulance matter involving Nanado's grandchild's father. These were all issues that happened somewhere 2022. Not so. Somewhere. So why did it take the OSP over 2 years to take these steps? If indeed he was truly independent. He didn't have the courage. He couldn't do it when Nanado was still president of the land. But you see, you use the OSP as a campaign promise. Nanado, be an astute lawyer, ought to know that for the OSP to be truly independent, it required that the constitution itself be amended. You don't do that under the auspices of an act when the constitution is still there. So technically, Prof. Ayene can call for the docket from the OSP and push the case. Also, there are some people who don't even believe that there's real commitment to prosecute what's called Ken. Yeah, and that's they are just doing something once again to represent something, and there's really no commitment. Don't we have extradition laws? Because this red line thing is it does not force the police there to arrest. It does not. Maybe you may struggle to travel and all, but it does not. All this while, at least the 58 million one, in fact, and all of them, this Tesla one document, no charge still. At least charge. Let's know that you are serious. Because you see, I don't want to talk about Ken Ofrata Dems. Because you see, I've said it especially on Pan-African platforms so many times. And Nanado, Ken, and a lot of these people, they had an agenda which wasn't a Ghana agenda. They had a very tribal agenda. We shouldn't be afraid to say it. And these were people who, and I'm surprised, as in, I'm young, but if there's one thing I've realized quickly, that nobody's a human being more than anybody. It shouldn't matter, as in, it shouldn't really matter the circumstances of your birth, as in, we're all equal. But that thinking underpins democracy. And that's why one man, one vote. We're all free people. But when you read the Japadia and when you read the way they carry themselves around, it's like they were more human beings than some other people. And so you took an oath to protect the country. So you ought to know that even the way you handle yourself after you leave power. Because our constitution is one that is underpinned by the abiding principles of probity and accountability. You write a letter to the OSP that you are leaving the country and you indefinitely. I think that's the word you use. Indefinitely. And we have extradition. So the OSP has been giving us updates. Not once has he said that he's initiated an extradition process. So for me, I think it's the right time for us to really look this whole OSP thing. If it means we will scrape it, let's scrape it, because in my opinion, they are not independent. It's just one person who thought that I needed to be president. They didn't have a program, a plan. I said, oh, okay, you vote for me, I'll give you one, what's called, free SHS, I'll give you one, I'll put a candidate for God, but it won't be your money, and he said that he used that money, I'll fight corruption. When really, there's absolutely no commitment to fight corruption. Let us really look at this, a whole anti-corruption regime. One country, one small Ghana, we have Yoko. We have Office of Special Prosecution. We have, what's it called, Shiraj. Why? Is it that we are creating jobs? You see, you won't take the policies that will put us in the position to create real jobs. So we create these useless positions. Let us consolidate all our anti-corruption institutions, the laws, the agencies into one. If we really want an independent prosecutor, then let us do it the proper way. Let us amend the constitution and let the authority of the OSP flow from the constitution itself, not from an act of parliament. You understand? And President should step in and take charge of this issue. Let's see real attempts at holding Ken and all the perpetrators of the crime that was committed on Ghana over the past 8 years accountable. There are so many issues. I think that they are being too slow. The people who were in charge of beyond Ken, the people who were in charge of that almighty whole, why are they walking around? Huh? All the people involved in that whole, that almighty whole. You understand? So, Ken, and to Ken himself, I've seen a letter, but I've not seen any report. And he gives me the impression that he's running away from justice. That's the impression personally he gives me, that he's running away. He has no intention of coming down to Ghana to cause the principle of accountability to be practiced on him. I'm convinced he is running away. And it's such a shame. It's such a shame. And that's why, you see, if there's a reason why I always praise my brother here for wearing white, but I don't tell you. The only way I praise him for wearing white is because of Ken. When white talks many verses, pretends like he loves this country, but they don't love Ghana. They don't. See, you read the Ejapadi, and these are people who say that they have a special right to be the royal family of this country. And when the people of Ghana, you manage to convince us to give you the opportunity, you come and you pursue an agenda which was not Ghana. Pursue your own parochial agenda, you are an agenda. Yes, and sometimes I keep us, for us to build this country. I know that people, yes, a lot of people are infatuated with their tribes, but the idea is to build it, because countries are creation. Even your tribes are even creations. Because the lot of the tribes, you go about just 2, 3. I'm an Ashanti. When you suppose I was born in 16 something, there will be no tribe called Ashanti. You understand? So we should not be infatuated with tribes and all these things. We decided to create a country. We all of us, we decided to create a country called Ghana. That we said all of us are going to be Ghanaians. Under no circumstance should we act in a manner that fights against that idea called Ghana. Under no circumstance should we say that and allow any group of people to attempt to spring up a different idea greater than the idea called Ghana. And that's why this prosecution of Ken is so important, because of the message that signal sends. That's where a group of people come and they attempt to spring up a certain idea. They want to push a certain agenda in their mind. They think that agenda ought to be greater than the agenda of Ghana. The people of Ghana will punish them legally, within the confines of the law, not illegally. Not illegally. We will punish them. And so for me, some of us were saying that the day of reckoning will come. And I had cause when I was saying those things. Oh, that lawyer, your lawyer. I say, yes, but the law also promises that day of reckoning. And that's our constitution says that it is being built on the principles of probity and accountability. If Ken knows what is right for him, and if he loves this country, because we all die, but we all leave legacies. All of us, we all leave legacies. He's had an opportunity that a lot of people won't have. He's had this opportunity. for the good of his own legacy, he should freely subjugate himself to the system, to the laws of this country. Freely. Should freely subjugate himself to the accountability system that we ourselves enshrine in the Constitution. He should freely. And I look at these NPP, and you see, and that's the last comment I'm going to make. I don't have a problem with anybody. Politics is not personal. Sometimes I learned very quickly. Politics is not personal. If there's anything that politics ought to be about, it should be about the love for principle and projection of principle. Clearly, I keep on asking myself, so the NPP right now, as it stands right now, are they worth even sustaining as a political party? Because they've departed, I don't even say their ideals, but right now they are not useful to the country. In all honesty, because you form a political party because you want to advance the cause of the country. It doesn't mean, and because of they are defending things that are adverse to the agenda of Ghana. So they should be careful. They should be careful. They should encourage Ken. They themselves, the party should make a statement that supports the attempt to hold anybody who we believe has infringed on this country. But at the end of the day, the interest of Ghana must always supersede any other interest. Thank you.
In fact, thank you, Lawyer Andrew Apiadankwa. Gabriel Niai says Akufo-Addo calls his appointees to avail themselves for accountability, and now his own brother is on the run. What is he saying about it? Then this one says, questions, and can the government go wherever Ken Ofori-Atta is and bring him to G8 for questioning? If yes, what is the government doing about that?
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Now so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.